Traditionally, horse training has been in a forceful manner, putting a halter and rope on them, you are putting a saddle on them, you're bringing them to you, you are lunging them in a circle. There's been varying degrees of horse trainers who have recommended doing it more harshly and some more gently, and that is what led to the era of the horse whisperers, which certainly was a big step up from what used to happen to horses when we're talking about breaking horses, which is really just training them to be ridden. That's all called negative reinforcement though. That's all of that kind of training. So no matter how gentle you are, how much you are whispering, you're still doing something at the animal. So the animal doesn't really have a choice, right? So what we want to do better is let the animal actually have a choice in the matter on if they want to respond to your whisper or not. And if they don't feel like it, then it's our responsibility to figure out why that is and work with them rather than just demanding that we make them do it by getting a bigger whip or getting more equipment to ratchet the animal down to try to force them to comply with what you were wanting. If you catch yourself in those moments when you are feeling like you need to put a bigger bit on, or I just need to wear spurs, something like that, that is a signal to you from a positive reinforcement standpoint to definitely take a step back and do much less contact with the animal. Spend some time working with them in a round pen with no halter, no lead rope, anything, rebuilding your relationship with them and regaining their trust again so you can get through that. That's the difference really between what has been the norm in horse training versus what other types of animal trainers are doing. When you think about putting the halter and pulling on the animal, think about if it was a blind and deaf person. You would not get frustrated with them, pull on them. You would be very gentle with them and the way that you handled their body and their cues, and you would try to communicate that with them. And so if you think about your relationship with your horse being similar to that, if you really tune into their needs and their stress, it makes a huge difference in the level of trust that you can build with the animal. All of us want to have that bond with our horses where they come running to us and they'll do anything for us, and that's sort of the end goal for all of us that love horses so much. What positive reinforcement does is it helps bridge the gap in helping the animal to understand your intentions. Reinforcing just means behavior that's more likely to happen again. So anything you practice, just like your horse, thing you practice you're likely to do more of. To give positive reinforcement to a horse is, first of all, you have to see what it is that they like. Actually pay attention to them and see. For some, it might be attention, it might be scratching, for some it might be food rewards. And even if there are food rewards, it can be different kinds of food rewards. It can be anything from an entire bucket of grain to a little tiny carrot. And what you always want to do with positive reinforcement is match the reward to the behavior. You want to ask politely and reward appropriately. So what that means is that anything that you ask the animal to do, you want to do it as gently as possible. And if they give you a very gentle reply back, then you give them some kind of reward that is comparable to that. Sometimes it can be food, sometimes it's just words, sometimes it's just pets. It's whatever the animal perceives as being pleasing and reinforcing. And so how do you know if they like it or not? Well, do they stick around if they have the choice to leave? And if they do, then most likely they really like that. So an example of that is if you put a halter on your horse and they lower their head down, you might say, oh, you're so very good, and maybe give them just a little scratch or like a half of a piece of a carrot. But if you are riding your horse and you learn some amazing new lateral movement, you've been building on it for weeks and months, and all of a sudden one day it clicks and the horse gets it, that's the day you want to throw a party for them. So you scratch them and pet them and tell them they're wonderful for extended periods of time, massage them and reward them with all kinds of things like grain, alfalfa hay, and some carrots in it. We call it a parfait around here. If they do something really amazing, we make these parfaits for them with all their favorite treats. And that is very rewarding to the horse. And so the simple thing here is that if they give you a pleasant but not an outstanding behavior, then you give them something also sort of to that level, so like maybe a half of a carrot. But if they do something that's really amazing that they've never done before and you're so terribly proud of them, then you want to match the reward to that behavior and give them something really amazing that they're going to really love and appreciate you for. So in the next video we'll talk more, so tune in and definitely put your comments and questions down below, and we'll see if we can help you out to understand positive reinforcement training better.